Okay, everybody, here we go. It's me, Gregory Mannarino, Sunday, February 11th, 2024. This is my newest segment of Markets, A Look Ahead. I want to cover a bunch of things with you this morning. Look, here's the deal. You and I, let me just say what's on my mind here, have been so far ahead of the curve on all of this. It's frankly incredible. Now, understanding that we need to maybe go over a few dynamics that are going on now so we can remain in that spot ahead of the curve. You understand? That's what it's all about here. So with that, I want to bring a couple of things to your attention. Let's start off with this. This is the most up-to-date chart of the Federal Reserve's repo program. What this is, and you all know this if you've been following this blog, this is a mechanism that the Federal Reserve has been using to fake liquidity in the market, passing vast amounts of cash back and forth overnight between institutions. And this has worked for quite a long time to, again, fool the market into believing it's more liquid than it is. I'm talking about the whole entire financial system, way beyond the market here. Now, as this has been waning, and you can see the trajectory here, we have seen war break out, war expand, and it's going to get a lot more extreme moving forward. Again, if liquidity is being, you can't say it's being pulled out, but this mechanism to fake liquidity is being minimized. Another mechanism must be instituted to make up the difference. Does that make sense to you? I hope so. And as we have discussed repeatedly, no other endeavor creates the need for more borrowed dollars, more cash to be pulled into the now than war. So as this accelerates, and I believe it's going to, we're going to see a lot more war, a lot more death, a lot more pain, a lot more suffering, fake news, deceptions, distractions, why we have to kill these people, why we have to bomb these people here, headlines with gruesome titles made to make you angry, photographs, just as we had suspected here, people burning the flag and death to America. It's the same playbook that they use over and over and over again to get the brainwashed people out there convinced more so that things are what they're telling us they are. Now, when you hear, you know this already, I mean, seriously, when the mainstream media propaganda is trying to get you to look somewhere, there's a reason behind it, okay? All of the media, all of the news is controlled. It is meant to bring about a particular response in the masses. Now, you and I, we've been seeing through this clearly for a very long time because we know who our enemy is. This is central banks around the world. We know what their agenda is: to become the lenders and buyers of last resort, to own it all, to become the one world government that you and I have been warned about since forever. Now, this mechanism here, again, understanding, let's look at this again, this faking of liquidity is being pulled, expanding war, and other things as well. And we discussed this at the end of last year when I explained, when we covered right here together, what we would see in 24. And that is, we're going to see spending by governments. Again, they're broke. We have no cash here. But there's going to be reasons created out of nothing to spend money on things you can't even believe moving forward. But again, not enough to fund our government. We can't fund the government. Does that strike you as kind of strange? It really shouldn't if you understand the mechanism here. Again, the reason why we can't have a budget, why they keep kicking the can down the road with regard to funding, has nothing to do about, oh, well, this policy and, well, that policy, and if the two wings of the same bird, the right and the left wing, can't agree, then we're just not going to fund the government. It has nothing to do with that. It's because they can't. Yeah, because the debt must expand, the economy is cratering, and to make up that difference, again, what do they got to do? They got to hyper balloon the debt. So what does this all mean? If we understand this mechanism, and nobody gets it more than you do, it just allows you and I to better position ourselves for what's coming. Okay, and that boils down to staying ahead of the curve. Okay, so we understand, you and I, this mechanism is going to foster a lot more war. A lot more cash to be pulled into now. Massively inflationary, but you're not allowed to know that, okay? When a central bank has to create cash out of nothing to fund wars in Ukraine, wars in Israel, our own war, which there's no talk at all about where the funding is coming from. Do you find that kind of interesting? I mean, we're bombarding the Middle East right now as we are talking here, okay? No talk at all about what this costs you and me. All of that will be added to the national debt. Now, that cash must be created out of nothing. We don't have a war chest. There's no stash of dollars somewhere to fund anything. It has to be magically, poof, created out of nothing, and it comes right from the central bank. Now, if you and I understand this mechanism here, what do you want to do about it? Again, that's what it comes down to. It's clear as a bell to me. We're not going to change a damn thing. Bet against the debt. Become your own central bank, meaning hold hard assets. Silver and gold are anti-debt units. These are units of wealth. They are real money. They have been real money for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And just because the central banker, like Ben Bernanke, remember when he said these are not real money? When you hear that, you got to laugh. Of course, a central bank, no banker, no central banker wants you in anything else other than their product. Why do you think Jamie Dimon, for example, despises Bitcoin to the highest order? Meanwhile, he probably owns vast amounts of it. Okay, but bankers, central bankers, they only want you in one thing, and that's their product. Their product is the dollars that they issue to all of us that we don't even own. We work for the privilege to borrow these things. These things are owed back to the issuing central bank who owns them, plus the interest they create out of nothing. You understand? I own this. This is mine, this piece of silver. You understand? Period. Now, those dollars that let's have a look at this real quick. Okay, let's have a look for a second here. These things, all right? We don't own these things. They are Federal Reserve notes. It's kind of an incredible thing, isn't it? See at the top? Right at the top, it tells you who this belongs to. Federal Reserve note. Now you see that? See that thing on the back? Yeah, right here, right over there. Yeah, that's the Federal Reserve's plan. All right, so they can be right here at the top of that truncated pyramid. And the more borrowing, the more spending makes them stronger, not weaker. Now, you all know that because we've covered it to the point of like we want to puke. Now, let's move forward here a little bit. And what the premise of this video is really all about. Everything I've covered so far is more or less review. Now, if we understand the mechanism here, all right, much more cash pulled into the now out of nothing to fund not just wars, our own war, whatever they could come up with. Again, it's an incredible thing. If we realize that, how is that going to affect, well, your cost of living? Number one, that your cost of living is going to skyrocket. Now, they're going to tell you, again, we discussed this at the end of last year, the propaganda, the deceptions are going to get even more out of control. They're going to tell you that inflation is coming down. It's getting better. Nothing could be further from the truth. What did we discuss on Friday? They won't tell you these kinds of things here. They talk about all kinds of nonsensical things to get you to believe what they want. But if you look at one metric, the CPI-U, looks at specifically the cost of living in all urban areas in aggregate. This has gone up, I believe the number was almost 3.5% or 3.4% year over year. They think you're too dumb to know that. They think, oh, well, if we don't tell them this, they won't know about it. Again, it's a lie by omission. This is going to get much, much worse. What did we find out? The Congressional Budget Office? Congressional Budget Office. We have no budget. Okay, they're good for nothing. They should all be fired. You all know that. Okay, we have no representation whatsoever. You may think you do, and you may feel like you're free, but freedom is an illusion today. You're not free. What are you free to do? Let me know. Well, you're free to be a slave to the system. We can't be free. It's an impossibility if we must be forced to live under the rulership of a central bank and their system. Well, it creates slaves. It's debt slaves. Slaves to debt that they create. It's their one and only product. Anyway, going back to what I was trying to say, I kind of got a little sidetracked over here. Inflation is going to continue to rise, and it's going to rise faster, although they're going to tell you the contrary. GDP, they already have been lying about this. Again, if it were not for spending on wars, our GDP would be in the negative. Around the world, okay, global GDP is contracting at its fastest pace ever in history. But you're not allowed to know that either, okay? You're supposed to think everything is great and everything's perfect. It's just the mechanism here. You tell a lie long enough, make it big enough, and people believe it. And unfortunately, that's the mechanism here that we have. Now, what this all means in the grand scheme of things is the price action across the spectrum of asset classes. I'm talking about the stock market. I'm talking about the dollar, or currencies, central bank issued currencies in aggregate. I'm talking about commodity prices. All of this is going to get more distorted moving forward. Now, the environment right now clearly is risk on, as you and I have called out for I don't know how many freaking years now. Oh, Greg, you're wrong. Oh, Greg, you're wrong. Market's going down. All it's done is gone up, as you and I have said it would, because you and I are looking in the right spots. While everyone's focusing on the stinking Dow Jones Industrial Average or the S&P 500, yeah, record high, yeah, whoopee-doo. You and I are looking at the drivers of this market, the driver being the debt market and the dollar, which is also a unit of debt. This is all summed up very nicely, as you know, in the MMRI, Mannarino Market Risk Indicator, free to everybody on this planet. Link in the description of this video. Okay, knowledge is power. Now, it appears right now that the market is very happy with where the 10-year yield is sitting with regard to risk, because the market also knows, as you and I do, the Fed is going to cut rates moving forward. So what does this mean again? You can expect the stock market to continue its trajectory higher. You can expect commodities to remain under pressure. For now, the game remains risk on, cash going into the stock market. This is deliberate. It's a mechanism to, again, get people to forget everything else because their 401ks are looking good. They see the stock market going higher. They think everything is great. Again, it's the illusion here. The illusion of the market, I've told you this for 10 years now, is such a powerful thing. People look at the market, record high. Oh, wow. We must be doing great. Even though tens of thousands of people, over 82,000, almost 83,000 people laid off in January alone. We're going to see the same trajectory in February. More and more people getting laid off. And what's happening here is we covered, I think it was on Friday, the market is rewarding more people that get laid off. The market is rewarding those companies big time. They're getting bid up. Not only is that occurring, there's another phenomenon I believe we covered on Friday too. That is billions of dollars worth of stock buybacks, companies buying back their own stock. So you can see where this is going to go. Again, anyone that's telling you the market is going to crash tomorrow or picking up, I know there's a few people out right now doing that, what they do every single month. They're going to be right. So they do it every month they do the same thing. It's going to be this month. Oh, it's going to be next month. Oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I didn't calculate this correctly. So it's going to be this. They're going to do the same thing to you, twisting your mind. Forget about what they're saying to you, okay? If you understand, eventually this whole thing is going to come down in a way that's going to spin people's head around like the freaking Exorcist, no doubt about it. People are going to, it's always the same scenario. What happened? I don't understand. Again, this is a build-up to a climax on a scale that's going to be biblical, okay? Not only is the market going to crater at its fastest pace in the history of ever. This crash that's eventually coming is going to eclipse everything that came before. It's also going to take a large portion of the population down with it. Again, this is going to unfold into a resource problem that is going to be insurmountable, and people are going to take to the streets. It's going to be pandemonium. There's no doubt about it. This is what they're building up to. They need people to beg for a new system. Please help us. The same institutions that are bringing down the current system, that's what they have to do first. You know this. We've covered it for how freaking long, I don't know. They're deliberately bringing down the current system only to institute a new one, a new system of maximum control. And I also believe a new system where there's going to be maybe as much as half of the world's population erased. And I mean literally. Anyway, You got all this down, people. So look, what's the premise here? Keep your eyes on everything. Get yourselves in the right spot. In my opinion, you need to stay along this market. Look for reasons to buy. Buy on the dips. Commodity prices massively suppressed massively, and they're going to stay that way as long as the market remains risk on. And I think that's the situation that we're in right now, beyond any shadow of any doubt. But as always, this guy is going to keep all of you ahead of the curve, even more so than ever. I am going to double my efforts moving forward. They can't beat us. We're invincible as far as I'm concerned. We're a team. This is a worldwide family as far as I'm concerned. And we got this. Whatever they do, we will counter-strategize against it. But again, the beauty of this is we don't need to change a damn thing. We've been doing this for years, you and me, betting against the debt, becoming our own central banks, raising our awareness, making sure that we're ready for what's coming here, mentally, spiritually, physically, every way we can. You understand? How can we be beaten if we got each other's backs? I don't think we can be. It's impossible as far as I'm concerned. All right, look, this guy here loves you a lot. Please, if you got something out of this video, let me know about it. I want to hear from you. I do read the comments. I may not write back, but I read the comments here. Share this stuff. Get it out there. Those thumbs up are extremely valuable. And I'll see all of you in the morning, okay? Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other.